Hi, what's up? We are here to review and discuss Wheel of Time, Season 3, Episode 5, Teleron Rio. I did practice before I started, so I don't know if it came through, but that's what it was called. Land of the Dreams. This time we're going to do it in groups. So we have the Sea Chicks. Sorry, in my notes I call them the Sea Chicks. We got the Tower Chicks, we got the Desert Chicks, and the Two Rivers Chicks. Chicks is gender neutral, so I'm using that to mean, boys and girls, kind of like everybody in between if there are in this show as well. Let's start. Let's start with the Sea Chicks. Okay. At the time, we just see Matt, Elaine, and Nynaeve. They've apparently been on the boat for 2 weeks. They're under the deck or whatever in one of the rooms, and Nynaeve is very, very seasick. She is throwing up every 5 seconds. She's like huddled in the corner, just she's just throwing up a lot. Elaine is over there giving like this whole history lesson on Tanchico, trying to prep them, get them ready, asking questions back, quizzing and stuff like that. And then Matt is tired of it. He's like, he was on this hammock at first, and he was like, "Bro, we gotta get up out of here. I need to get out of here. I'm tired of hearing about like history lessons on Tanchico and geography lessons on Tanchico. We've been on this boat for 2 weeks." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's a really long time. There's a lot of time elapsed between episodes." But Elaine is like, well, Leandra needs to get supplies somehow, you know what I mean? So she's going to be frequenting these places as well as the Black Aja. And then he's like, this is driving me crazy. How about we just go up on deck and we see what's going on? Elaine is really against the idea because they promised the sea mistress or the captain really that they can't go upstairs or up on the deck while it's in motion. And they don't really know why. They just said Aes Sedai can't be up there. And they think they're Aes Sedai. But she notices, she looks out the window and she's like, oh, we're passing this certain area. And that means we're a lot farther along than I thought we were. And that's impossible. Like, I know the seafarers, they're fast, but they're not that fast. You know, there's something going on. And Matt was like, I'll take this opportunity to go ahead and hurry up and get on out. And she's like, wait, Matt, stop. No, we promised that we... And then he already had dipped up there. So she turned around and Nynaeve was like, oh, just help me up. And then so they follow after Matt. And it turns out to be, like, they come up on the deck and they're like, oh, nothing's going on yet. Like, you don't see anything yet. But then one of the pirate chicks, she comes down and she's like, you promised you wouldn't come up here, Aes Sedai. You broke your promise. And Lane's like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And she was about to say, oh, my homie over here, she's sick. And she stops her. And Elaine kind of like, excuse me. And then she talks to Nynaeve, and she's like, you're from the mountains, right? You stand as if like firmly rooted to the ground, basically. Like, you need to make your legs soft so that you go with the boat. Let the boat move you, because you're trying so hard to stay in place and stay firmly rooted and in control, when you need to just let it flow. You know what I mean? And then she's like, is that better? And then Nynaeve kind of does it, and she's like, yeah, a little bit. And she's like, can we please just stay up here, please? I can't go back into that room. And then the lady turns back up. She looks over at the other lady, who's at the top of the deck. And then she nods, and she's like, all right, bet y'all can stay up here. And Matt goes over to the side of the boat, and then he sees somebody run up into the room. And he's like, what is that? And then he runs over. He's like, Min, is that you? And then Min is like, no, it's not me. And then he's like, hey, man, I don't even care. Can I stay with you in your room? Because I'm tired of him. I can't stay with him no more, bro. And then she's like, she really actually says no. But he's like, oh, thank you so much. And so they go into her room, and she has, like, I didn't notice this upon first watch, but I noticed when I watched somebody's, like, reaction, they were like, oh, she's over here casually just hiding all the drawings. And I was like, she is. He's laying down. He's talking about, like, how annoyed he was. And he's like, are you stalking me? And I'm like, oh, you're obsessed with me or something like that. She's like, nobody's obsessed with you. And he's like, well, you say that, here you are. You know what I'm saying? You're following me. Or, you know what I'm saying? She is, like, moving around the little bunk room that she has, and she's balling up papers. She's hiding them. She's putting them places. And then she's just really, like, a busybody, which is why I wasn't paying attention. I was like, I don't know what she's doing. And then Matt, he looks over. He sees, he's like, oh, she's an artiste. She's an artiste. He grabs the picture, and she's, like, running over trying to stop. He's like, Matt, no. And then looks at it, and it is him from the vision that she had on the previous episode of him hanging himself. Or being hung. I don't know. You can't really tell because it's like we don't have the context to it. All you have is him like just swinging, or not swinging, not even swinging, just a still photo because she tried to draw it. She was trying to catch every detail because now she's trying to be an active participant in these visions. Like she is trying to thwart them, stop them, have some kind of influence over them. I think she had a talk with someone recently, and it was like, you can't really control their visions. She's starting to no longer want to be a victim of her gift or curse or whatever, and instead trying to regain some control over her life by like influencing them, or at least being an active participant in them, or turning it around. So I get it. He looks at it, and then she tells him she was trying to like stop it from happening by drawing it out, trying to get every detail so she's prepared. And he's like, well, lucky for me, your visions don't really come true. Because remember, you told me I was going to kill Rand, and Rand is still alive. So there's that. And then she's like, oh, well, kind of, I guess. And then he mentioned something. He's like, he said, I'm not going to unalive myself. Probably. And then, I don't know, something makes her laugh. And then he goes back over to the hammock acting like he's all good. And she's like, well, these walls are pretty thin. It's not very much of an upgrade to be in my room. These walls are very thin. And you three are annoying or whatever. I don't know what she was insinuating there. But maybe just like he's not going to have the peace he thinks he's going to have. She's just joking around. But he turns over in the hammock and you can tell he's really bothered by what he saw on that paper. He might have even kept it. I don't remember him passing it back, but he might have. So now he's worried about that. Since we're staying with the sea chicks until completion, this is a different way of doing things. We go back on the deck, and we see Nynaeve and Elaine. They were having a little nap or whatever. Elaine wakes up because she's like, and she sees flashing around, and she sees like all these lights and colors, and then she sees weaves, and she's like, wait, Nynaeve, wake up. Nynaeve's like, what? What? And she's like, look. They look and they see like Aurora Borealis. Like sis is up there weaving all these kind of different, like if you have an astronaut light where you can project onto the wall these different colors and, basically just doing a lot of weaves into the air, and it's really pretty colors, but it's making the waters and the waves and stuff propel the boat forward, and the ship is moving fast because of that. So now we've answered the mystery. This is how they're so fast. This is how they get to their destination so quickly. And this is why they don't want Aes Sedai to be on the deck. The lady comes down, she says that. She's like, and now you know why. And I need you to promise that you're not going to tell. And they're like, well, they say that your channelers, they're never strong enough to, like, become full Aes Sedai. That's what they say in the tower. And they're like, better that you think that even when you leave. We'd rather not change that narrative. And she was like, she kind of turns to Nynaeve and she's like, there are several ways of being a woman, several ways to channel. There are different ways. It's not just what the Aes Sedai say. And we're finding that out more and more this season. That like though they centralized it, it's almost like going to an institution, going to college, like straight out of high school. Like there's more than one way to become a successful adult. You don't have to do that. You don't have to even go to trade school. You can go straight to the world. You can go to a Job Corps program. You can go to junior college. You can go straight to the workforce. You can travel the world if you can. You can make ends meet. You can start a business. You can start social media. There's so many different ways. That's not what she was saying, but I get it. Like, it's not just the institutionalized way. Just because that way is central and that way is taught, you can channel. But she also noticed that Nynaeve is blocked. It's like everybody comes up to Nynaeve and notices that she's like blocked and that she can't touch the power. And Nynaeve says sometimes just not when I need it. She says one of you is like, do you struggle in giving up control? Do you struggle with trying to have power over stuff and stuff like that? And she's like, well, kind of. And then Elaine kind of laughs and she's like, well, one of you really wants to not give up control and the other one wants to avoid her role in life, basically run away from life. And one of you is seasick and the other is not. So basically to mean Elaine, she doesn't really want the role of daughter heir of Andor. She wants to live her own life. We find out a little bit more of that later. and kind of just be free and be able to have a little life of her own. Like, she doesn't absolutely love her calling, basically. And Nynaeve, she's blocked up, stopped up, jacked up. She's getting in her own way of touching the One Power, which we already know, but it's confirmed again by the Sea Pirate Lady. She doesn't really instruct her or anything like that, but they do say, hey, go on down to the deck and pack your things. We'll be back soon. Or not back, we'll be in Tanchico soon. So they did. Later on, we do see them again in the Land of Dreams, but I'm going to jump over to the Tower Chicks, and we're going to talk about them next, and we'll just circle back, because everybody comes back into play. Pretty much everybody comes back into play at the end. So, Tower Chicks. Dun, 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 dun. In the Tower Chick side of things, we have Elida, we have Swan, we have Adelaus, Varin, Leanna, and we also have the Black Aja sisters, and a few surprise people. So, let's go on over to the tower. We have Swan over here sniffing letters. She's in her office, always looking stressed, always looking in between meetings and stuff like that. So she's looking at this letter, she's reading it, and then she comes up on it and sniffs it, and she looks happy for a second, and then she kind of snaps out of it, and she looks toward the door, and she's like, oh shoot. So she folds it back up neatly, she puts it back on her chest and does the one power to lock it, and I'm like, I want to see what's in that chest. Elida comes in, kind of knocks and comes in, and then she's like, I smelled your flower perfume from the hall. It really does enter a room before you do. I remember it back when I was in your class as a novice. And I was like, I took that to mean she was her instructor. Like, Elida was Swan's instructor. But some people said, like, classmates. I'm not sure. Either way, they go way back. You know what I'm saying? She's like, mother. And then she just gets on a tirade of just insult after insult. She said, look at this place. It used to be all nice and regal. You got it looking like a little fisherwoman's hut. Just decked it out with, I'll get to that later. But she's just insulting her left and right. And then she says style matters, basically. And then her slogan, basically, is to restore to the former greatness and glory of the Amerlin seat and of the White Tower, how things have fallen. She tells Swan, your net is coming apart, mother. Or, your net is coming apart, mother. She got that little voice. Really, her point to coming, though, because they kind of exchange a little bit of barbs, Swan doesn't really hit back at her. She does ask, she was like, where is Moraine? And then Swan's like, she kind of pauses for a second, because she was running in stride for a little bit, and then she asked about Moraine immediately after something, so she was like, she's been banished. And she's like, oh, I bet she still writes, though. And then we think about when she was just snipping them letters. I was like, what are you talking about? Why are you bringing her up, bro? Let it go. And she's like, I remember you fawning all over her when you were a novice. And then she's like, that was a long time ago. She's like, people don't change. And I was like, get her out of here. We don't need her in our business. We don't. We don't need her in our business, bro. She's not going to be a good steward of it. So she's like, is this all you wanted? You just came in here to tell me absolutely nothing. She's like, you were river trash. I knew it since the first day you showed up. All young, a 9-year-old barefoot river trash. I was like, goodness. Hit her. Don't hit her, but like, I was like, the disrespect. And she's like, the point of her visit was she's telling Swan that she's going to hold a vote to cage the Dragon Reborn, something you should have done long ago. She did try. And Swan is like, okay, bet, this is all you had to say. The Amerlin is very busy. And she's like, yes, mother. Thank you for your time, basically, and dibs. And then right after, we follow Swan into a room. Well, we don't follow Swan. She shows up, but Varin is in a room with Adelaus, her sister, and we just see her, like, just out of it. She's almost like someone who possibly has dementia or something and is in the nursing home. She's giving her some tea, and she's like, oh, would you prefer wine? And I was like, Adelaus is like, oh, it's just a little funny moment before everybody walks in. And then Lyanna comes in, Swan comes in, and then Varen's like, oh, mother. So she gets up, makes sure her sister has the tea and everything. And her sister, the camera pans back to her sister, Adelaus, who's on the couch. Like, she's not there, but she is there. And they're talking about the information Varen got, which is that the Black Aja, they work in hearts. And there are 3 in each heart. Leandrin was successful in connecting 4 hearts. Altogether 12 Black Aja. but only 11 attacked them that day in the tower in the greatest fight of the century. So that means one is left over at the tower. I wonder if it was somebody that was locked out in that room, or somebody who just wasn't there at the time. I don't know. We'll talk more about that at the end. But basically, they brew a plan, and the camera, like I said, keep pointing back to Adelaide, like listening, but also like it almost looks like she's eavesdropping, but like you don't need to. They're right in front of you talking, but it's like I don't know. It makes me a little wary. I'm like, we don't know who Black Aja is in this scenario. Varian is like, my sister can do anything. Like later on, she says that, and I'm like, oh no, man, I don't know. But anyway, so Swan is like, how can we like find out if she's Black Aja or not? Because I just had this conversation with her. She seemed real sus. You know what I'm saying? They're like, well, we could lay a trap for her, but it can't be too obvious. And she's like, good, lay the trap. And they're like, how do we do that? Maybe if we show her to her other sisters, she'll expose herself trying to free them or trying to talk to them or whatever. We'll just discover what she does when she sees the other Black Aja that we have in the room. I believe the Black Aja's names. One of them sounded real joyful and the other one sounded kind of regular. All right, Julia and Amiko. All right. The two, Julia and Amiko, are still in the depository. And yeah, so they lay that trap by sending Adelaide out with an accepted, who was just like this quiet girl, you know, just like escorting her out. And then Elida's mid conversation with this black sister from the white Aja actually, and they run their Aja by logic and reason. And they're like, she's like, well, Zuan is not a good like leader. Basically, she's trying to plant the seed of just cool in people's ears and see who's receptive to it. And the black sister, not black sister, the white sister really, is basically saying we go with Swan because most of the time logic and reason is on her side. And that's the only way we make our decisions around here on the white Aja. You know what I'm saying? And then she's like, what if I can prove to you that ever since she's been on the Emerald seat, she's been plotting to take down the White Tower or whatever from within. And then she's like, we go with logic and reason. And so she kind of doubles down on it. She's like, all right, bet, thank you. I appreciate your time. And then so she walks off. She kind of sighs like, that was waste of time. And then looks and turns and she finds that Adelaide is on the walk with the accepted chick. So she kind of saunters over pretty quickly. She's like, Adelaide, I haven't seen you since your accident. And then she's kind of making noises and whatever and just really playing up the fact that like she is just mentally not as quick as she was. She tells the accepted girl like, get out of here, basically, or I will skin your hide with my birch or something like that. I was like, goodness, she said accepted or not. I was like, whoa. So the girl kind of like excuses herself and she starts talking to her, basically trying to manipulate her state of mind into releasing some information about Varian and her whereabouts. And then Adelaide says what she's supposed to. She's like, she's in the deposit. And she's like, she finishes her sentence. She's like, the 12th depository? What? Why? And she's like, Black Aja. She's like, oh, shh. And they cover each other's mouths. And I'm just like, I knew it was a trap though, low key. Like they didn't reveal it until you follow the accepted chick back to the room. But I was like, this is very convenient. Anyway, so we follow the accepted back into the room where we met with Varen and Swan and everybody. And she was like, she took the bait. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I don't know. Liana was like, I don't know. Do you think your sister can do this in her state? And she's like, Varen's like, my sister can do anything. And I was like, bet, cool. I'm just trying to think, like, there are no wasted lines in this show, are there? So why would you say that? You know what I mean? I'm looking at everybody with the side eye. Even Liana. I was like, she's just always there and she's very vigilant and kind of very violent, like aggressive. I don't know. She seems trustworthy, but that's based off fan fiction. Anyway, back to the tower individuals. Elida does go down to the 12th depository, and she sees Joya and Amiko, and I don't know which is which, so it is what it is with the names right now. One is on the floor, one is the bald one, and she's like, they're back, and it was Elida, and she's like, sisters, or whatever. She's like, tell me. You will give me the name of every Black Aja. And she's like, we will never betray our oath to our sisters, no matter how much you ask us. Basically, pretty much. And I was like, when she said that, I was like, you already betrayed your sisters. You had sisters here. And then you betrayed them by doing these evil oaths. So what do you mean? What loyalty do you have to these people that you didn't have to the other times? I was like, I don't know about trust and loyalty from a person who deceived in order to get a new loyalty elsewhere. Like you, I don't trust your loyalty, basically. And but Elida took her at her word. She was like, she's not gonna tell. Bet I believe you. And she says, unalived her quickly. And then it was up after that. She turned to the bald chick and she was like, bet, tell me the names. And then so she does like some fire weaves and some air weaves. We saw the air weaves kind of wrap around her and stuff. And then somebody noted on Tumblr like, oh, we didn't see the fire weaves. Where are they? Like was negotiating with the ambulance chief. I told her I would tell if, and she's like, I am not Swan Sanche. This is not a negotiation. You will be in pain until you tell me the names, and you will be unalived. You will cease to be here in this life, So she's like in the air, midair, kind of like, and she's like, her name is, and then you see a gray man come out of nowhere and just forcibly remove her life. And he forcibly removes her life quickly and moves over to Elida, who, like, the gray men, like, they're hard to see. I'm gathering they're hard to see and perceive, so he's able to just rush up on her and then get to trying to get her up out of here quickly as well. And then Swan and Liana in that moment ran over, because I guess they were eavesdropping, trying to see what she was about to do. And Swan goes over to heal Elida because she's like, she's on the ground after almost forcibly being up out of here. And Liana goes, whoa, pushes the dude back. He tries to advance again. And then she goes, whoa, boom. And then it cracks what needs to crack. And he spills out life essence on the ground. I don't know. I'm trying to be creative with ways of saying this so that, like, it doesn't get age restricted again. Because that's what happened last time. Which, understandable. I shouldn't have put those, like, certain images up. I didn't realize, like, until after. And I was editing. I was like, that's probably too much, huh? Okay. I'll be more mindful. But Swan goes over. She heals Elida. And Elida is like, you led me here, didn't you? And then Swan's like, I did, sister, but I might have been wrong about you, or something like that. She says it, not those words verbatim, but I was like, you shouldn't let up, though, because she really did come to your office talking about river trash. She wants to coup you, and you know that. But she's not a Black Aja. At least we think. She's not a Black Aja, but that doesn't mean she's not evil Aja. I wouldn't. And she called her sister, so I wonder, is that on purpose? Because she calls people daughter in a professional capacity. Are they not in a professional capacity? Is she saying sister because she's treating her like an equal, like a partner, like a peer, someone on the same level as her? Or is she showing her respect because she passed the test? I really don't know. If there's a difference, I don't know. Sometimes calling her sister, sometimes calling her daughter. I don't know if it matters. But I do know that, at least for now, we don't know the last Black Aja, but those two are out of here. Alright, next up we got, let's go to, no, I was gonna say let's go there, but let's go to the desert chicks. Why not? No, actually, let's go to Two Rivers, sorry. Two Rivers, who we got there? Technically we got Loyal, but we barely see him. I don't know where he was. Oh, well, we saw him a little bit. We got Loyal, Perrin, Bane, Chiad, we got Alana, and we've got Maxim. So everybody's over there. Okay, those people are over there. We get over there, and I'm trying to remember what happened, to be honest. Because I can't remember what episode they revealed that they were there, I'm just going to give you a very quick recap. Obviously, you've probably seen the episode, unless you listened to these before the episode, which, if you do, very flattered. I don't know why you would do that, but here we are. So Alana and Maxim are there. We find out later because... Well, we found that out later. We found that out this episode, so they're there. Alana's kind of tore up, jacked up, because they ran into some Trollocs on the way there. We haven't seen any Trollocs. Everybody's just talking about having run into Trollocs and showing up with wounds and stuff. And I'm like, have we allocated the budget elsewhere? Or are we just not going to see no Trollocs? Which is fine. I mean, I don't have to see them. It's just interesting everybody's mentioning them and we're not seeing them. We do see some white cloaks, but I wish they would come roll up on them, but I guess they're rolling up on each other and they're beating them, so it's whatever. But yeah, Alana's there with Maxim. They're up in the upstairs room. Perrin goes back with Chiad and Bane. Bear is somewhere else. Bear is, So, they run into Egwene's mom. Egwene's mom takes them upstairs because they're like, oh, the White Cloaks are here and they kind of run the town now. We need to keep you guys low key. They are looking for you, Perrin. And then by they, we mean the White Cloak leader, and by leader, we mean Dane Bornhold. The one whose dad got unalived by Perrin because he unalived the dog. The main one, the OG, Hopper. So the circle continues. Anyway, she can't heal herself, so she's kind of just up there. We find out that they took Matt's siblings and mom, so they're like locked up. They're trying to lure Perrin into their camp so that he would come and rescue them so that they could just get Perrin. And we find out they're willing to do a lot of things to try to get Perrin. So they kind of hatch a plan. They're like, well, we're going to go in and get the girls. And I don't know how they thought like that was going to go later. Because if you didn't want to fight, like, I don't know, how's that going to go? You're going to return them to their homes? They know where they live. They took them. I don't know how that was going to go. So they were like, oh, no, we're going to go into the camp, go get the girls and the mom, and take them back and get them to safety, wherever safety is. And then Alana's like, I'll create cover. And then Maxim and her have a tit for tat, basically, because he's like, no, you said you'd heal the girls if they needed it when they come back here. And she said, no, I'm going to create cover. Because the night was clear and everything, and it'd be easier with some fog. And he's like, no, you're putting yourself at risk and stuff like that. They have an argument. We'll get to that. Perrin and Ben and Chia, they all go down there to the camp. Loyal stays up top because he's not very stealthy, as he mentioned himself. And as it was told to him. So while they're down there, we see the girls in the cage with the mom. Dane comes in. We know that Child Valda wants to be a questioner or whatever and torture people basically into giving answers about where Perrin's whereabouts are because the little girls aren't doing it. So he's like, let me get him in. And then Dane's like, nah, you can't get him. So he goes in there drunk or whatever. And he's like, are you thirsty? And offers them hopefully water. Then he's trying to ask nicely, like, where's Perrin? Have you seen Perrin? I need to see Perrin. And they're like, we don't even remember Perrin. It's been so many years. The mom is sneaking and trying to get the keys off of his, like, side. And then when he comes back, because they say something, she almost gets the keys, and he catches her wrist, and, like, she has the keys in her hand. He's like, why would you do that? He grabs her, like, just loses his temper. I was like, that's how we know you're not a good dude, but you're masquerading as a good dude. He grabs her by the back of the head or like by her hair, slams her forward into the cage multiple times. He's planning on doing it for who knows how long. The little girls, whoa, they did some one power so Matt's sisters can channel. They push him back all the way to the thing, and then he gets up, and you know them, witch, we have a witch, one of you is a witch, one of you is a witch. And then the mom, being a pretty good mom, at least her daughters. I don't know why she was like, I don't know, man. Like, she was a jerk to Matt because of his dad, but I don't know where the dad is either. But anyway, she was like, it was me. I channeled, it was me. So he grabs her out the cage. They're yelling for her. She's like, please don't do this. He throws her down on the ground in front of Child Valda and he's like, this one is ready for your questioning. And walks off. And Child Valda, he kind of like leans over, does his little creepy smile, moves her hair out of her face. And then she just kind of collapses a little bit. She's like, here we go. We don't know what he's going to do with her. We flash back, and we get to them arguing. Them meaning Alana and Maxim. She ends up stating to Maxim, like, you're not enough. The last battle is coming. They're not prepared. Politics and niceties aren't going to win the last battle, so that's why she's not back at the White Tower. Because it's like, bro, we've been wasting our freaking time, bro. The Black Oz are ready, and we are not. You know, politics don't win battles, armies do. So she's here to find an army because she believes the blood of Manetheren, real warriors, are here in the Two Rivers due to the Fab Five coming out of here, you know. I think it's 5. Matt is the horn blower, you know. Perrin, the wolf boy. 2 super strong. channelers in Nynaeve and Egwene, and then the Dragon Reborn himself, all in the same town, Blood of Manetheren. So she's like, bet I'm here to build an army. And what better place than the Two Rivers? And he's like, I don't care about none of that. Maxim said, I don't care. I only cared about Ivon and you. New sentence, period. Ivon, period. And you. I never cared about the last battle. I never cared about no Amerlin sees no politics, none of that. I don't care about the wheel, dragon, none of that. He didn't say all that, but I get it. I just want to do what we should have done in the first place, which is hunt down Leandrin and get revenge, basically. And she's like, you know what, little boy? Do your little boy stuff. So she turns off the bond. And he's like, come with me. And then she's like, here. I turned the bond off. And he kind of storms off. But I knew he was coming back. Spoiler alert, he comes back. I was like, this is one of those moments in the movies where, like, they have a fight, and then she's gonna need him, and he's gonna show up. That's what happens. She's creating cover and fog. So Perrin, and actually this girl that we met her last time. She's kind of short. She got some intense eyes and an intense chin, and she's very short. But Perrin's very tall, so I don't know how much you want to give to that. Her name, she gives a fake name at first. They call her Falcon. I don't know why I remember that one over the other one. Her actual name. Someone call her Falcon. Alright. Man, it's always one name I don't remember. She goes with them. They're sneaking into the camp, and then people are drunk. Like, the white cloaks are drunk, so the soldiers aren't on high alert. Child Valda does notice, and he's like, do you want to know how to catch a real witch, child buyer? That first thing was a plaything, and then they kind of, like, leave the scene. And I was like, a plaything? I had a bad feeling. I was like, was a plaything? A plaything? Okay. She's unalive, bro. Anyway, so they sneak over there to the camp. Perrin sees some wolf heads on pikes, Dracula style, and he gets mad a little bit. They find the tent, and Bane and Chiad are able to get to the girls in the cage, and he's like, hey, trust me. They're like, Perrin, what happened to your eyes? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just follow their instructions, and we'll get you out safely. They're like, where's your mom? They're like, they took her a little bit ago. I was like, okay, go with them, and we'll get your mom. And then so they disappear, they go together, and then they run into some soldiers only because Perrin stopped when he saw something in the distance. He walked up on it, and it was the crispified version. I'm going to say it in this way because, again, I don't want the age restriction. So the crispified version of their mom. Child Valda had just at the stake. Okay? At the stake. So Matt doesn't know that, and the kids don't know that. He's kind of shaking a little bit. He's like, what? And then he sees Dane come out of nowhere and two soldiers kind of behind him. He's like, you did this? He's like, I thought you were a good man. He said, I was before you. And then they start fighting. And then the short chick who got the intense eyes, she's slicing and dicing. Well, she's slicing and dicing parts of the body on the soldiers. So she's winning basically, and then Perrin starts to get overpowered. He does survive a poking of a dagger to an appendage or onto him in some way. I think in the stomach area. She runs over. She's like no. So she cares. I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling her out, Loki. I'm not sure if she's a dark friend or not. I'm still kind of feeling her out, waiting to see. She throws a knife. And it meets the chest, but not detrimentally, of Dane Bornhold. So he falls over and decides, you know what, that's about enough fighting for right now. Ow. And then she runs over to Perrin and she's like, you gotta get up. Come on, let's go. So they get up, and then done with them, we go back up to Alana, which I'm assuming this is happening simultaneously. She's making the fog and, doing the weaves up at the top of the cliff. And Loyal gives no warning at all. I don't know where he is. But it turns out a lot of the white cloaks were sneaking up on her. They start shooting arrows. She catches 5 arrows, like, da-da-da-da-da. She's, like, trying to defend herself. She's getting a few of them here and there. But they get her down to her all fours, and then they circle around her. They're like, oh, she's mine. About to take her back to the camp and do whatever, like, white cloaks do to, like, ask questions and stuff. I don't know, but it's not really questions. They're just evil and self-righteous. About the evil they're doing, and I don't know. And Maxim shows up out of nowhere, and he's like fighting them and like getting them off of her. He does get shot by an arrow, and she's like, "Oh man!" So she takes the arrow out of herself and woo, like throws it and gets this guy, and then he's the last one. So yeah, he's done. And they make good work of like getting rid of that threat. And then she's like, "How did you find me?" And he's like, "You turned the bond on 5 arrows ago." And I was like, I did count the arrows the second time I watched it. I was like, so that's when she turned it off. Understood though, taking 5 before you ask for help and not even audibly asking for help, intentionally asking for help, none of that. It was just instinct. Help, ow. But taking 5 first is crazy. Taking one out of yourself and just using the one power to throttle it into that was very good, very good. So they kind of rebond. He picks her up, and then assuming he's going to take her back somewhere so that she can get some healing or get wrapped up, bandaged up and everything. But those were the biggest things that happened in the Two Rivers. Now, finally, for the desert chicks, Moraine starting it out. Moraine Land and Egwene are the OGs over here, plus the new characters that we meet. I will name drop as needed. So she's playing around with the ice ball. A little too much, actually, because she's playing around with it, and then next thing you know, it starts to kind of take from her too much, and she's like pouring into it, and it looks like she's struggling with it, like it's taken from her more than she's given to it, intentionally, at least. And I'm like, here we go, because I just finished Rings of Power today, season 2, and just a lot of corrupting items. I'll say that. I don't want to give nothing away, of course. If you know the story, you know the story pretty much, but yeah, and it's really good. But back to Little Time. It's taken from her, and then it turns out like she's like, and then Lan catches her. Thankfully, he like shows up behind her, catches her. He's like, "What is that, Moraine?" And she doesn't really answer. She's like, "What does it feel like?" And he's like, "Euphoric, but also like a thirst, like hunger, or a thirst, but deeper." And she's like, and he's like, "What did you see in Meridian?" And she didn't tell him. She just like leaned against him. Then we pan out and we see it's just the little things you do with the sand to calm down, but in a large scale. So it made huge divots and chasms in the sand in a spiral kind of design. And this kind of reminds me of those designs. The Fang, y'all were calling it the Fang. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same design at all. But remember in season 1 where they like had the livestock arranged in a fang, and then also when Swan was like having to leave Tyr and they burnt that symbol. I don't know. I'm just wondering what happened to that, because I wouldn't mind a little more continuity as far as that goes and a little explanation, but maybe we'll get that down the line. I don't know. Anyway, so we pan out, we go back, and they're arriving in the Aiel city, which looks a lot, again, I'm not going to bring it up no more after this anymore, but it looks a lot like a place that they go later on in Rings of Power. I can't even tell you. Okay, never mind. They get to the Aiel city, and then they meet very interesting lady. The clan chief is like, "Hey, roof mistress, can I have dwelling under your lair," or whatever like that? And she's like, "Bet, yeah, you can have some." And then he walks up and he's like, "Thank you, roof mistress of my heart." And I was like, "Okay, sir." Not remembering at all. I was like, "Okay, that's probably his girl. That's probably his wife or whatever." He walks up, he kisses her, and I was like, "Okay," a whole moment in front of everybody. And everybody's kind of smiling, doing the thing you do when somebody's just PDAing. You're just like, "Oh, good for you." There's like really nothing for me to say here. And then next thing you know, we flash away, we flash back, and it's like, this is my wife, or you met my wife Bear. Now meet my wife, what is her name? Lair. Yeah, sorry, Bear and Lair? I don't know. And then you see Bear kissing her too, like coming home. Yeah, what? What is going on here? And then he's like, it just kind of gets it. You get it. I don't know. And then we're at dinner. I don't know. I'm not gonna skip. But a little girl comes up. And he's like, and this is my great daughter, Alcera. And he's like, yeah, it's this little girl with little red hair. She runs up and she's like, are you the dragon reborn? And he's like, Rand shows both the dragon tattoos, and he's like, I am. And like starts chasing her, and then she's screaming like a kid, and then he's running chasing them, and then he's just good with kids. Like when we pan over to Avienda, and they're trying to make fetch happen because it's supposed to happen. So I'm like, there, alright, she gonna thaw to him. Alright, cool. We've seen this story. What the hell been playing? But I do wonder how that's gonna turn out. She's really cool though, but that's me fresh off of episode 6, and I'm sorry, I'll keep it to 5. So we see them eating it up. Lan is getting gamed up by the the chick from Malkira and Malkir, and she's just like, you want to try this little buggy here, and basically he eats it, and he's like, oh, it's delicious. Like he takes a bite, and she's like, oh, it'll bite you all the way down. You're not supposed to bite that part. And he's like, delicious. And Morgan looks over and she's like, oh, well, I'll let him have it. I wonder about this though a little bit because it's like, is Lan into like the multiple partners thing? Because I thought he was pretty serious with 90. I don't know. I'm not gonna guard other people's relationships other than the one that I am guarding. I'm not gonna say it. Ain't gotta be said if you understand it. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna go there. But we will later in this episode. Yeah, so they're talking kind of, she's gaming him up. Avienda's trying to show Rand like the customs and like what he should do, what he shouldn't do, but she's kind of being a jerk about it. She's not being super upright about it. She was told by Bear and the other wise one that she has to basically be with him all day until he goes to bed at night, and that'll be the first part of her training. She's not a fan of that, but she's not a fan of Rand, so she's like, you eat with your right hand. We're supposed to make polite conversation. We also share lovers here. You don't do that? Oh, that's wild. Poor Egwene. And then he's like, you don't have to talk to me. And she's like, I do, though. I don't know. I did that all out of order. But basically, they're talking a little bit. The little girl, she's like, she's like, do you like the squash Randolph book? And he's like, I do. It's very good. And she's like, I grew the squash Randolph Thor. She says his whole name. I thought that was sweet. And he's like, wow, it's delicious. You know how you hype up kids. This is amazing. It's great. I'm trying to remember what exactly happened next, but Egwene goes into the hut with the wise ones. And here we go with the title of the episode, Teleron. She's going to train up with Bear and Melaine on how to navigate the dream world. She doesn't really tell them, like, the point is she wants this girl up out of here. The one that's been tormenting her up out of here. But she gets to that later. They put a little piece of lead or whatever in a candle so that it can burn down when time is up and wake you up from the dream, basically, and bring you back if you get lost, they said. So they have her lay down. They tell her the rules. They're like, hey, Ranriod is not a fun place, legit. Like, it's a dangerous place. Things can eat you here. Things can just shake you up here. And if you perish here, you will perish in the real world. And she's like, bet. So they go to sleep, wake up, and it looks like the exact same room. She's like, are we at the same place? And she's like, nah, this is Teleranriod. And then she's like, isn't everybody here? And she's like, nah. Wetlanders believe, like, no wonder so many Wetlanders perish in their sleep because they accidentally end up here in the dream world. Dreams themselves are individual things. They're separate from this place. But if you accidentally end up in this area, you can forfeit your existence. Pretty much. Because something could happen. I don't know. Something can happen. Stuff is here that can take you out. And she says, your thoughts have so much power here because it is like a dream to you. It's your dream, basically. Kind of. And so Elaine is like frightened for a moment after they tell her things are here that could take you out. So she puts on some dress armor, which I still wonder about the choice. It was very cool, very awesome to look at. But would you want to fight in a dress armor? Like, is every part of the dress hard? so that they could stop arrows, because if so, you're gonna get the chafing of your life. Not even chafing, you're gonna get the shin splints of your life. Okay. But basically, she shifts back. She's like, think and it will be, basically, because it's a dream. So think and it will be. So she thinks about it hard, and her regular garb comes back on. She's like, if you don't want to be here, just believe you are elsewhere, and there you will be. I was like, oh, cool. So she does that, and then they like look at each other, and I was like, well, maybe you should have gave her more instructions before you did that. But she walks around, looks like in the White Tower courtyard area, not the courtyard, but like down by the city. She sees these blue ghosts, and it turns out it's like some kids that are, some souls wander on in during their dreams. He's playing with stuff. They have, it said in the subtitles, eerie music, and I was like, oh. And it turned out to be like, yeah, just a spirit. She looks over into the corner. She's like, oh, this is kind of nice. It's whatever. She's like, oh, my bad. I didn't mean to leave. Bear, is that you? And it was a dark figure, and it, boom, it pops up real quick. It was Lanfear. And Lanfear's like, I'm so glad you're here. And just force chokes her, basically, like Darth Vader style. And she's like, she puts her hand down, too, so she can maintain it. And then she's like, and then she comes back. Like, she wakes up, and then they're like, she's being stalked by one of the shadow souls. She moved too fast. She texts too much or whatever. She goes too fast. And he's like, who was that? She was like, what's a shadow soul? Your people call them Forsaken. So she finds out she's being stalked by a Forsaken. Egwene didn't know. We knew, but she didn't know. And then we leave Egwene for a moment. I did want to mention that they said anyone can touch the dream world, but not many can enter it. And it's not part of the one power, because Melaine can't channel, but she can also go into the dream world. Yeah. Exactly. Later on, Rand and Egwene have an awkward kiss goodnight. And I think we'll leave Egwene and we'll go back to... Rand didn't have much going on in this one. So we'll leave Egwene and we'll go to Moiraine and Lan. Moiraine is just real sad chick. Like, she's just been off to herself and sad chick, low-key. But we go, like, and before Lan pops up around her, he's asking a little bit more about his people, and he's like, I can't even remember Malkier. What kind of prince or a king can't even remember his own people? And she's like, you're being too hard on yourself. You were a kid when everything went to trash and failed and fell. But he's like asking questions like, what was the thing you missed the most? And she said laughter. They had dances and festivals, and she's like, oh, the nights after the dancing. And she's just looking off into the distance, and he's like sharing in that moment and the shared history they have together, and just the life that he wasn't able to live because of the wheel and what it dealt to him in that lifetime. How he is who he is. Yeah, you're still who you are, but it doesn't look how you thought it would look. And even now, it seems like your path is changing when you thought it was going to just be one thing. Here we are again with it changing again. And he's like, with the reintroduction of this woman and this reminder of their shared history and their people and his place in the world. So he's trying to reconnect with that. And that's nice. He does oops up on Moiraine, like he walks up to her and kind of finally gets an answer out of her. He's like, what did you see in the freaking Ruidian, bro? And she said, I saw a whole lot, but basically, I'm out of here, I won't be at the last battle. So all the sacrifices we did, all the choices we made, it won't even matter because I won't be there. I hear what she was saying, but I also hear every time I hear that line, I'm like, because I won't be here, And I was like, okay, fair. But yeah, I mean, that's how you feel, Because particularly Moiraine, she does everything with the notion that, like, the last battle we have to win, the last battle we have to win. He can't destroy the world, he has to, and that's been her mission since they heard Guitar's vision. Like, it's been on her. She's put it on herself. This has been her path. And to know that after seeing all the possible futures where she lives, Rand doesn't, she knows that if Rand is to live, she doesn't. And it just bites, bro. And I know you may be expecting a different reaction just because I go hard for sis. Sis is my sis. I kind of dealt with it. I saw it coming after that episode. I was like, oh, shoot. So you'll probably get more reaction a little later is what I'm saying. I'm dealing with it. Just chill. So she tells Lan this, and he's like, do you know when? And she's like, no. He said, did they say tonight? She said, no. Like, did you see it happening tonight? She said, nah, so maybe you just enjoy this drink with a friend tonight. And she's like, and he's like, all right, try this. Have you tried this before? She takes a drink, and it's trash. I don't know if it's trash, but they're like reacting strongly, and it's like one of those things. So they pass it back. They laugh a little bit, which is so nice. See them laughing and just being friends and just being close. You know, they've been in each other's lives so long. They do have an affection toward each other, and they've been through all the ups and downs and just the most terrible news possible. But here they are, you know, laughing at how crazy this alcohol tastes at a fire in the middle of the desert, just pending perishment. So yeah, that kind of cuts, and then we go back, and I'm going skippity, skip. Back to Rand and Egwene. They kind of have an awkward moment. She's packing up to go sleep with the wise ones. Not in that way. I do have to specify. Not in that way. She's just gonna get some more help with the dream world. And he's like, we haven't had a moment alone since Ruidian. And I was like, you ain't want to even look at her after Ruidian. So anyway, I don't know. She's packing up. She goes, and she's like, I could stay, you know, right after she packs. So it's like, you're not going to say stay after somebody packs. He's like, no, go. And he gives her the thing, and he kind of smiles. He goes in for a kiss, but it's like he hesitates, and then goes in. She kind of kisses back, and then he pulls back, and he gives like an awkward tight lip smile. And she kind of like nods, and she leaves as soon as she possibly can. And then he kind of goes over and just frustratedly sighs and stuff. And I was like, this is over, bro. We not trying to watch it fall apart. Moraine goes to Egwene and asks if she can deliver a message to someone. Like, if you could take me somewhere in a dream, is that possible? Egwene, important to mention, they told her not to go back into the dream until they give her permission to, and she agrees to this. And yet she's like, it's very dangerous. You know, is this important? Is it worth that risk? And she's like, yes. And Moraine's like, thank you. Basically, she tells Moraine the rules. This is the thing. She puts the brass into the candle again, saying this will bring you back. I think it'll be safer in your dream. Because, again, she's being stalked by a shadow soul. So it's not safe to be in Egwene's dreams. So they go into Moraine's dream. And then they're like, she's like, I'll try to take you to her dream. So I guess they discuss who it's going to be. Or she just assumed. And then we see kind of flashes of them, like in youth, and then Moraine's in blue. And we're in like a hut area, like in this bamboo forest. Anyway, you don't care about that. But she says, be swift, basically, be quick. I don't know how long it's going to be. But say what you need to say. And then I'll come get you, basically, at the end or something like that. And she's like, all right, bet. So she goes in. And we finally get a confrontation about what happened between them. Swan and Moraine, when she told her to close the way gate. You know, we've just been getting little snippets. We've been getting some here and there's. But yeah, remember she saved her, but from a distance and didn't want to talk to her. So here we are. She walks up into the hut, and Swan's like doing some knitting on a bed, just chilling with her long hair in. You know, she had to put the long hair in for her dreams. This is where she comes to chill. She's like, look, I'm stressed. I'm going to do some literal weaving, you know, on this bed. She looks up, she sees Moraine, she's like, Moraine? And Moraine just walks in, not super casual, but, you know, very guarded. And she's like, I come to you this way because I have no time. You could tell I seen this scene a lot. And then she's like, what's going on? She's like, where are you? She's like, I've been through the rings of Ruidian. You're in the Iowa Waste. Like, what are you doing there? What? You're always somewhere else. I don't know. She's like, basically, if the White Tower doesn't bend the knee to Rand al'Thor, or not bend the knee, but submit to him, basically, isn't on his side, he will lose the last battle. And then Swan's like moving her eyes around. She's like, shoot, how am I do that? I got some coups going on. I got Black Aja going on. Oh my gosh, bro, this is the worst time to be saying this. I've been holding by a string, my neck coming apart. Like Elida said, there's a lot. Even in my dreams, I can't escape the stress. And then she's like, I know two things for certain. She says that one thing, and then she said, and that's it. And then she tries to leave, and then She's like, no, you can't do this to me. Not to me. What would you have done? And she said, forget all that. I don't even know about the second reason. I don't know. She said, what would you have done if you were me, knowing what I knew? And she's like, the same. Or worse, maybe. And she's like, so why punish me? You think I haven't been punishing myself? And she's like, we each had a job. You were supposed to prepare the tower for the Dragon Reborn, and I was supposed to find him. And then she's like, she goes and sits down. She meaning Swan. She sits down. She's like, it should have been you. You should have been the Emerald seat. You're ruthless. You're strategic. You're strong. You wouldn't lose yourself to the seat. And then Moraine comes over. She's like, does a sigh. She comes over. She leans down, like, and like kind of touches her like knees and stuff. I make enemies too easily. I wouldn't have won the seat in the first place. And they kind of chuckle. And she's like, yeah, I wish we never would have gone to guitars that day. And I was like, she does a little shrug. I was like, me too. Me too. I said, me too. Bro, didn't I say that last season? I was like, you shouldn't even been here. She waited. No, refer to that video if you don't remember. But I agree. And then Moraine is like, and then what? We just take some horses and run off for a life of Tyr, life of river. Get it right, okay? And then what? We just take a couple horses and run off to Tyr for a life on the river. Come on. Not me acting. Anyway, so she says, basically, yeah, and they kind of laugh, they chuckle a little bit, and then Swan kind of reaches forward, in the most awkward reach forward possible, though. I'm like, you expect it to be rejected. When you expect rejection, it happens. She put her hand on her cheek, Moraine, and she kind of leans in, very, very slowly expecting rejection, and Moraine's like, no, we broke what we had, Swan. She gets up and she walks toward the door. She's very dramatic because she could just poof and be gone if she wanted to. She said, it can't be mended, not in this lifetime. I said, don't do this. Don't do this to me. How could this happen to me? And then Swan gets up and she's just very quick with it. She says, you know what? Then I'll try in another lifetime. I'll find you. And we'll do it again and again until we get it right. I'm getting these accents now. And then she's like, Moraine's like, and I will wait for you every time. And then they kind of have a moment. And she's like, yes, bet. That's cool. The music's swelling. We get a close, like, pan in. We get the sunlight in the back. And then Moraine leans in. She's like, I love you. Get in the whole, like, I'm not going to recreate that one. That one makes me a little embarrassed. but so they go in. And obviously it was kind of added in maybe an ADR because you don't actually see her lips move. But I like the gesture. I appreciate the add-in. I personally needed it. I wouldn't mind. People say it's the breakup scene. Not really. There are worse breakups. Don't get me started. But she goes in. They have one last final embrace, or maybe not final. I don't know. Let's not speak that over him. But yeah, so they have a kiss of sorts, just reconnecting. I don't really personally view it as a breakup just because he did say, like, oh, in this lifetime it can't be mended, but which I think is very subjective, but okay. Some people did say maybe because they're thinking that Moraine was, like, saying and not saying that she's not going to survive for it to be mended. So, and it would take more time anyway or whatever. But I kind of looked at it like, dang, like you admitted you're soulmates and that you will find each other in every lifetime, no matter what body, no matter what shade, no matter what culture, circumstance, class. Every time. She's going to wait for you and you're going to find her every single lifetime. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. That's a soulmate right there. That's how you solidify. And then the fact that they kiss after that and she says, I love you. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hopeless romantic. Let's not go there. But I'm just saying. It didn't seem like a breakup. Or if it was a breakup, it's the best breakup you could ask for. Like, no, we're soulmates, but maybe not right now. But I love you. We good. But we're not good. You know what I mean? The little voice. It does come in. But it's like, shoot, I'd rather be broken up like that. Unless we're legit, like, just breaking up for real. And then just leave me alone. But Yeah, there's so many things. That got me. I was like, okay, we're moving on. We are. Egwene gets a little dream happy, and she starts hopping around everybody else's dream. She goes to Nynaeve. She's like saying like, "Oh, can you hear me, Nynaeve?" Nynaeve is back in the Two Rivers. She's teaching her daughter that she had in the in the arches how to listen to the wind. And then Egwene's like, "Oh, that's nice." Then she goes over to Matt's dream, and Matt sees his mom saying that she's proud of him instead of calling him a prick. Like, she's proud of him. They're in the White Tower area, and then his sisters are there, and he's like, "You'll never want for anything ever again." And then it's just so nice, but then you're like, "Oh, your mom will never say that to you, dude. She's over here." Just is a dream, bro. But yeah, we go over to, this may be out of sequential order, but we do go over to Elaine. Elaine is on the boat doing the weaves and stuff, doing the Aurora Borealis for the waves and stuff, and she's having a good time as a pirate chick. And then Avienda comes up behind her, gives a little hug, a little Titanic hug. Not lifting her into the sky, but yeah. But yeah, and then Egwene's just in the back, kind of a creeper, but I didn't feel creeper vibes. Like, I wouldn't want that happening to me. But I didn't feel creeper vibes. I was like, oh, she's just back there, like, happy to share in the happiness. And then I think the Matt one leads to parents, because they're like the best Two Rivers craftsmanship ever, or like blacksmanship or whatever. Speaking of Black Man, we go to Black Man, and he's in the Two Rivers, and he's a blacksmith, and he has that little girl with him. You know what I'm saying? A new girl. And I saw Hopper, and he's like, stay down, because the sparks are flying and stuff. He's trying to catch the sparks. I said, bro, hey. And he's in his dreams. I said, oh. They almost got me with the dog again. I don't know what it is with this dog. But in last season, I was really broken up about him too. But yeah, when I saw him in the dream, I was like, oh. And then he's moved on, it's just nice to see everybody happy, and Egwene felt the same. She goes finally to Rand, and she sees him on that cliffside that he would always be at or take her to. And she's just smiling. She's like, oh wow, this is just amazing. Everybody has such great dreams. I'm gonna try to say hi to him or whatever. She's walking up, and she stops, and she's like, huh, what's going on? And then you see somebody come up. You see like a hand on the back of his neck, and she's like, what? And then a face come up. So she had been there the whole time. They start kissing, and it's Lanfear. And then she screams, because Lanfear looks like directly at her in the eyes and continues kissing him. I was like, diabolical. She screams, and then cut. If you made it to this part of the picture, thank you, and listen up, because here we go. I don't know what's going on with that. So I'll get it right next week. Alright. Predictions. I kind of sprinkled them out throughout the video. I did marathon record this, so I'm sorry if my speech is already like in tomorrow, because it is. Basically, I think the Black Aja that is still in the tower, I don't think it's Elida, but I do think a coup is coming. I don't feel great feelings about Swan. I feel like she'll be out of here soon, meaning like overthrown, possible life-threatening situations. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Not looking good, bro. For the White Tower. And I'm very suspicious of Adelaus and Varen. I don't know what's going on there. I'm suspicious of Adelaus, Varen, and Lyanna. But maybe that's because we're the only ones seeing them all the time. We're not seeing anybody else. So if it's somebody random, it's not going to hit that much. I just be like, oh, somebody random. I like seeing the pirate chicks. I don't think we'll be seeing too much more of them. I think it was like an introduction. I do wonder though, like, how the Shanshan like traveled a lot on boats and stuff like that. And I wonder how they evaded them for so long. Are they related? I don't know who's related to who. Who is related to who? I don't know. What I do know is I'm looking forward to seeing more. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they have any monsters in their oceans. I'm very curious about that. Lord of the Rings had a lot of monsters. I said I wasn't gonna bring it up again. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. As far as the two rivers go, since we know that the two sisters can channel, or at least one of them can. Not me being facetious. Okay, I know they both can channel because I saw that next episode. But I am excited to see that. I want to see more. You know what I mean? Because if Alana is here to build an army, well, we need more than two channelers. You know what I'm saying? And some strong people. I want more from Perrin too, because he just hand to hand fought Dane and almost lost. So I'm like, okay, all right. Maybe an axe is his weapon of choice for real in the books, but I mean, does he do anything else in the books? Like, is he like? I'm not saying he has to turn into a werewolf or anything. That'd be kind of interesting, but he doesn't need to do that. It's not Twilight. I would love to see something though, like maybe bring back his visions of what'll happen in the future if he can get the wolf sight back, or if he just permanently has it, and if we can see that on camera, that'd be kind of dope. Because he sure wasn't using that in his fight down there. The White Cloaks. My prediction for them, I really hope I hope they get wiped out, to be honest. Like, they're just bad. They're bad. I don't like them. They're worse than Black Aja to me. Because at least Black Aja, they're not, I don't know. They're just worse. I just don't like how the White Cloaks, like, trick themselves into believing they're the one of high moral standing, and then they torture people and then unalive them in brutal ways. And then have the audacity to still go on wearing all white and poking their chin out like they did something good. And I was like, you're doing evil things. And it's like, I noticed that as well. We got the Shan Chen who want to cage up people's powers and enslave people. We got the White Cloaks who want to torture what they call witches, and everybody should be normal and be children of the light. And we got the sea people who ain't really bothering nobody. But who can also channel sometimes. And out of all these cultures that we've met, and even the Aiel, like, they know. I don't think the Aiel know that much about the last battle, to be honest. They don't talk about it. They just talk about their own thing with the Karkarn. But you would think, like, at the last battle, you're gonna see each other. Why not just team up? That's the thing. Like, I know you have different philosophies. It's like how all these churches are so broken apart into different denominations. Like, at the end, in the end, we're all gonna be there. So, if it's all gonna be the same last battle, and you're all gonna be fighting evil, shouldn't we be on the same accord instead of fighting each other all the time? You know, committing crimes against each other all the time. If we want the same thing, we should be hunting the same people. I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it's just hard to forgive them at this point because they've been enemies for so long. But yeah, Tenchiko and the Sea Folk, that part was cool. I really liked the dreams in the dream world because it's like lucid dreaming to the next level. I don't like the Inception part where it's like, if you perish there, you perish here. I'm like, no, let's leave it separate. Let's leave it separate. And Rand cheating in the dream is definitely 100% cheating. I want to hear none of that. It's a dream. None of that. Because if you can perish in the dream world and actually perish in the live world, you could cheat in the dream world and actually be cheating in the real world. I'm not saying they should stay together, but I'm not with that excuse. Oh, it's a dream. It's a dream. No, he knows what he's doing. He chose what he's doing. He kissed her, actually. They had a little conversation. No, I believe you're a good person. And she tells him straight up, she says, I'm not that person anymore. Is that who you want me to be? And then she's like, I'm still that person somewhere. I'm like, girl. I want you, Rand. I'm like, girl, alright, we know. I don't know. I think there's something else to it. Like, if she's manipulating him, she's doing it well, but I also think she does, like, want to be with Rand. And maybe Rand just likes, knowing what I know now, I'll hold my opinions. But, yeah, it's cheating. It's cheating for sure. And it sucks that Egwene had to see it like that. And it sucks on top of that it's the girl who's just going out of her way to just force choke you all the time. And it's always the neck, too. And it's like, girl, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And the more power Egwene gets, hopefully the more that she can fight back and start being the dominant person that she is in the waking world. I think she's pretty dominant in the dream world. Like, she conquered so much last season. I'm so ready for her to get into her vibe and like really start learning and perfecting this dream world stuff. And she already walked Moraine through dreams and walked herself through dreams, so she has huge potential. I'm ready to see her go crazy. Um, but yeah, I think besides that, Aku is coming to the White Tower. Aku is coming. I'm sure we're gonna find some more issues with Karn and everything. I'm ready for more meetings. Just a little more in terms of what Rand is supposed to do going forward. What army they have, what the Shido are gonna say. Like, I want to see how are their reactions to the Dragon Reborn. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you. Go ahead, drop a little comment, and I got you. I read them all, even if I don't respond to them immediately. I did read them. I put them toward my thoughts. And thinking of you, let's go ahead and get to episode 6 and 7.